Howdy who, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. What do we got going on? Well, we're having a little bit of distribution, right? We had the first down wave of distribution. Now that took the NASDAQ down about 14%. Now V-shaped recovery, right? Right back up to the top. But now we're getting another wave of distribution. Now the S&P, the SPY, it's got to hold that 50-day. If it doesn't hold the 50-day, it's going to drop down to the 200-day, which is like another 10% fall from here. It's called distribution, right? Smart people selling into the rally, okay? The rally going up, buy the dip crowd comes in, rally goes up, the distribution comes, the smart people selling, and don't get me wrong, they may push this back up, right? Push it back up to a record high on the S&P. I don't think the NASDAQ is going to hit a new record high. I think the NASDAQ is already coming in to a bear market. There's going to be a bear market. A lot of people don't believe that, but there will be a bear market. But the SPY has to hold that 50-day. If it doesn't hold the 50-day, I think we're going to drop about another 10% from here. I don't think it's the big drop yet, not the big 80% drop. It's just in correction mode. The HYG is holding up pretty strong. You see that TLT also is going up. It's a reinverting of the yield curve. Now, a lot of people think this is good. Mainstream media will tell you, all right, we're getting back to normal on the yield curve. Like that's a good thing. No, this is where the crisis starts. This is where the bad stuff starts. This is where you're going to see the stock market come in. You're going to see the housing market come in. You're going to see a lot of layoffs. The yield curve is reinverting. You see the longer end of the curve used to be lower than the short end. Well, now it's going to reinvert back to normal. And this is where the crisis happens. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. A little secret. We are already in a crisis. I know that's shocking. They don't tell you about it, but we're already in a crisis. Now, who's it a crisis for? Banking system, still in crisis mode. Insurance companies, crisis mode. You got the pension funds, crisis mode. And why? Why? What's the balance sheet? It's their balance sheet. Okay, everything looks good on paper if you do the accounting where you don't have to mark to market. If you have to mark the assets down to what they're really worth, they've lost a lot of money. And I mean, not a big number. Banks lost already about half your money, about 40% of your money. You went, deposit your money into the banks. They don't have your money anymore. 40% drawdowns, right? Why? Why is that? Because they don't have to mark the assets down the market, right? They bought bonds. They got to keep them up here. And they're saying, hey, we're going to keep them at full value because we're going to carry them for 30 years until they become due. And then we get to full value. And that's true. If they can hold on for 30 years, if nobody wants their money back out of the banks, they're going to be fine, right? Because they can just hold their asset until it matures. But what about things like commercial real estate paper? Okay, so they got this commercial real estate paper where they're saying it's $500 million on their books, right? But the whole building is only worth $100 million. And they got a loan on that building for $500 million, but they don't have to mark it down. Well, what happens if they, sell the building? What happens if they give the building back to them? Then they would have to mark that asset down, mark to market. They'd take a $400 million hit just on that one building. There's thousands and thousands of these buildings out there that have taken this hit, but the banks aren't writing this down. They're not marking their assets down to the market value. They're saying, no, that building's still worth $600 million. We got a loan for $500 million, even though the building is only worth $100 million. Do you see how it's kind of deceitful? Do you see how they're holding up their balance sheet, but there's really these big, massive holes in their balance sheet? And how's it going to end? It's going to end with bail-ins, right? Bail-ins. Now you say, but Mike, that's never happened in the United States before. It's happened in other countries and it's coming to the United States. Now, why do I say it's coming to the United States? Well, The FDIC doesn't have the money to pay you. But Mike, my money's guaranteed by the FDIC. Okay, you're going to be guaranteed, and I get that. Eventually, you will get your money back. But when you go into the bank, they're not going to give you your money because they don't have it. They're going to tell you, wait for the FDIC to come and print the money to get it back to you. And I believe that. Now, in the meantime, while you're waiting for your money, maybe they'll give you shares of their bank because the bank's insolvent. The bank's going out of business. I'm not just talking about the little regional banks that are going to be falling over like dominoes. I'm talking about some of the bigger ones. A lot of talk out there about Bank of America going under. Bank of America. That's a big bank. If that goes under, I don't think they're going to be able to hold up the system. You see, one big bank goes down, another big bank goes down, the system comes tumbling down. You see, the bigger the bubble, the bigger the burst. And this debt bubble that we're in really a debt bubble, right? The federal government, 35 trillion, the state governments are at record highs, corporations at record highs, personal debts at a record high. Do you realize that over a million people in the United States owe over $200,000 just on their student loans? Owe over $200,000. A million people owe over $200,000. But Mike, they don't have to pay those. Biden's going to wipe them all out, right? Well, who's got to pay them? Me and you have to pay them. My point is that the debt is out of control, right? Over $1 trillion in credit card debts. Defaults going, right? Defaults, people aren't paying, so their loans are falling over in the banking system, right? They have defaults. They have defaults on auto loans over 1.5 trillion there. It's incredible the amount of debt that everybody's in. And now they can't get out of it. There's no way out. No way that the federal government's going to get out of debt. What are they going to do? They have to print more money, and they're going to print more money. I get that, but your money's going to become worthless. And this is why you might want to start buying some real money, buying some gold, buying some silver. Look, the elite, they're hoarding gold. They're hoarding it, right? They're buying as much as they can. The central banks do what the central banks are doing, right? They're buying as much as they can. They're buying gold hand over fist. Why? Because it's become a tier one asset. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's the same as cash, basically. It's liquid. It's tier one. It is accepted all around the world for basically anything, right? You got gold, you're going to be doing really well. But Mike, I got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to do well. Maybe it will. I hope it works out for you. Right now, Bitcoin's kind of drifting lower where gold's kind of going up, right? The last 3 years, you had Bitcoin back there 3 years ago was 70,000. Now we're down around 56,000, right? So you've lost a lot of money. Well, if you bought gold 3 years ago, down around 1,700 up at 2,500. If you had switched your Bitcoin into gold, you'd have twice as much money right now in net worth. So Bitcoin's not completely working for you right now. Maybe it will. Look, I love Bitcoin. I love gambling. That's so fun. Every day it moves so much, couple thousand a day, right? And you can gamble. And right now it's a couple thousand down each day. Maybe it'll bounce back up to 70,000 someday. I don't know. Maybe that was the high of the highs. Maybe that was it. Maybe we're just going to drift lower from here. Who knows? But anyways, my point is I want some real money. I want things that are real. Gold, silver, been real money for 5,000 years, going to continue to be real money, but there's a lot of people in debt. They're going to have to print the money, right? And you're going to have a debt problem, right? You got more and more debt, 35 trillion, 120 trillion unfunded liabilities. Let's just call it 150 trillion in debt. When the world realizes that they can't pay this back, it's going to explode, and you're going to get the down market. Well, will be the big crash. And you can look for that. Look on the HYG. The junk bonds will be leading the way lower, and that will tell you that we're coming to the end. We're coming to the 80% crash. We're coming to the big crash. And it's not going to be pretty. I don't want to sugarcoat it for you. It's going to be a very scary world. Nobody knows exactly how it will play out. Nobody knows the exact time. Everybody goes, but Mike, nothing's happened yet. We printed all this money. And that's great, right? I hope nothing ever does happen. That would be great. But I just get the feeling that you can't have a free lunch. Now, that's the way I was taught. Now, today, if you go to school, you get get free lunch all the time, right? Socialism, that's the way it works. Free lunch everywhere, right? They teach you socialism in school. Modern monetary theory, that's what the economist class teaches now. They don't teach capitalism. They teach that you can just print your way out of any problem. A recession comes along, you can just print more money and gloss over the recession. Well, at some point, all this bad investment has to go away. Do you realize 20% of the companies in the S&P 500, well, they don't bring in enough cash flow to pay the interest on their debt. Forget about paying off the debt. They don't bring in enough cash flow to pay the interest on their debt. You see, this is a bad business model. At least that's what they taught me. Now in school today, they teach you that's a good business model. Just get out there and lose a whole bunch of money. You don't have to be profitable as long as you can keep borrowing more and more money from the marketplace. Well, eventually that money dries up and these zombie companies have to go away. So we're going to have 500 of the S&P 500, 100 of the companies have to go away. Now, what does that mean? That means a lot of people going to be losing their job. A lot of jobs are going away. There are already jobs going away. We're headed into a recession. We're in a recession right now. We're in a crisis right now. They don't know how to get out of it. The only thing they know how to do is print money, right? And this is causing a bigger and bigger problem. And when it blows, it's going to be very painful for a lot of people. A lot of people are they're going to lose everything, everything. I mean, everything. All the equity in your house is going to be wiped out. Your bank account's going to be wiped out. Your stock market's going to be wiped out. There are going to be people that lose everything. Yes, there'll be the wealthy people. There'll be the ones that are hoarding the gold right now. And gold's always going to be worth something, right? It's going to maintain your purchasing power. It's not meant to make you rich. It's meant to maintain your wealth. It's meant to keep you rich once you get rich. You work, you make money, you put it into gold, put it into silver, you're going to be fine. Because they're going to come down with the market. But here's the thing. The physical is going to rebound really quickly because it's just going to dry up. You're not going to be able to get the physical. Yes, they're going to drive down the spot price. See, the spot price is different from the physical price when the crisis hits. Right now, it's beautiful out there. I mean, it's beautiful. You got a spot price on silver. I don't know, what is that? $29. So that you can go into a coin shop. Not my coin shop. They're sold out. But you can go into a lot of coin shops and you can buy an ounce of silver, a physical ounce of silver for about $30. But you see, when the crisis hits, they're going to drop the physical spot price. Excuse me, they're going to drop the spot price, not the physical price. So the spot price will probably come down to crash, right? Spot price of gold is going to come down to crash. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. A lot of people will get margin calls on their stock market portfolios because you have a lot of people, once again, debt. They're levered 2, 3, 4 times. Let's say they got 100,000 in there and real money in cash. Okay, so they put 100,000 in, but they're buying $400,000 worth of stocks. What happens when the crash comes? They get a margin call. Oh, what happens? They got to sell anything they can, and that's why gold is going to probably get sold off, but you're not going to be able to get the physical. You see that for silver, there's 400 ounces of paper silver for every 1 ounce of physical, right? So people think they own that 1 ounce of physical that you're holding. 400 people think they own that. And maybe at that point is where you're going to see the silver market explode higher. Now multiply 400 times 30. I don't know what you get, $1,200 or so. Now I don't think silver probably will go up that high. Could go even higher than that. But I do think it's going to hit $100, $200, $300 when this happens. The physical end of things. The paper, it's going to be wiped out. I mean, those are going to go away. You're going to see a lot of these ETFs going away. A lot of people invest in the ETFs. Now that market scares me. It scares me because it's not really a real market. It's a derivative of the market, right? And derivatives out there, there's a quadrillion derivatives. And when the derivatives start falling over, I mean, this is going to blow up so bad. It's going to be a big mess, right? The biggest mess we've ever seen in the financial world. And there will be a reset. And I think the reset will be reset against real money. Now, a lot of people think think the reset's going to be reset against Bitcoin. I just don't see it going that way. You want to play that way, that's fine. It's possible, I suppose. But I do think the reset will be reset against real money, against gold and silver when they do it. You see, when the debt bubble pops, it's going to leave all this carnage. Everybody's going to have nothing. They're going to put you in that CBDC, the central bank digital currency, but I'm not sure that's even going to work for them. I think they're going to have to get back to backing the money with real money. Now, does the U.S. have any real money? Is there 8,000 tons of gold in Fort Knox? Nobody knows because the government doesn't tell you. See, the government, they think they work for themselves to make themselves rich when they really work for us, and they should tell us if we actually have the gold. I don't think we do. I think somebody's already spent that, just like your Social Security money. Now that they tell us they don't have it. They don't have it. You paid in for 40 years. They don't have the money, so they're going to have to print it. What does printing do? Makes your money become worthless, makes gold go to the moon, and gold keeps going up, right? And my coin dealer, he can't get anyone to sell. He's got 100 people calling him every day, and maybe he gets one call for someone who wants to sell it, right? Nobody's selling because it goes up every day, keeps going up. We need a pullback. I want a pullback. I want it to come down so I can buy some more. Anyways, I'm Tall Mike. You like this stuff? Give me the thumbs up. Punch the subscribe button. Get out there, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll talk real soon. Bye-bye.